My name is Hiroo Nagahara. I'm the chef and owner of Bao Hiroo, located in downtown LA in the Arts District. Bao Hiroo is a Bao-centric restaurant that revolved around my two ethnicities of Japanese and Taiwanese, married with my upbringing in the United States. All right, Zojirushi rice cooker. Definitely use these in my entire life. Definitely a staple in any Japanese household. This one I've never used before. This is an np-nwc 10 with a 5.5 cup capacity. Wow, pressure induction heating rice cooker and warmer. Amazing. All right, let's open it. Oh, nice. It's very pretty. All right, so there's definitely a little bit different. This is a rice cooker. Traditionally, you have this, usually on the in the inside, you have this like button here, but I can notice that this is a complete induction plate, which also is basically going to result in a very even cooking, I would assume. All in all, it's a really, really nice cooker. Definitely has a lot of different settings, every setting that you could ever imagine. I mean, you have an umami setting, quick, mix, sushi rice, jasmine, porridge, congee, brown, gaba brown, and steel cut oatmeal. So it does more than just cook rice. All right, so for today we'll be making Donabe Gohan. Donabe Gohan for me is incredibly nostalgic. It's something that I grew up with. Especially growing up in a Japanese household, rice is always on the table. My father will oftentimes say that if the entire meal could be great, but if the rice is flawed, then the entire meal is flawed. So if that gives you any sense of how important the rice is to a Japanese person, especially, I guess, my father. Now the rice. Oftentimes, most people probably will just wash their rice and put it in there, but for us, we take the rice, which we're using a grain called satsuki rice, which is an improved koshikari or short grain. We take the rice first, we wash until water runs clear. So that might take 5 to 6 times. Okay, and then after that, we will soak the rice for the additional 20 minutes. Now, why would you do that? Soaking the rice for additional 20 minutes yields a more fluffy and evenly cooked rice, which is what you want. And then we strain it out until it's completely dry. And then we'll cook it. So if you notice, if you've done it right, the rice actually, you could tell the hydration on the rice, but at the same time, it's very loose. Okay, that's how you want to get it. This is rice that's been soaked and then strained. All right, so I'm gonna put this in the rice cooker. And on top of the rice, we'll be pouring this dashi. This is it's a seasoned dashi number 1. And now dashi number 1 is probably one of the most important ingredients in Japanese cuisine as a whole. Pretty much we use dashi number 1 and then turn into part of different sauces. Like for example, oftentimes a lot of time your tempura sauce or tensuyu is actually a dashi number 1 base. A lot of the braising liquid for kakuni, like the Japanese braised pork, again, dashi is a base. So it's definitely something it's weaved throughout Japanese cuisine. This one, of course, dashi number 1, or dashi as a general, is made of really only 3 ingredients. Is water, katsuobushi or bonito, and makombo, which is the kelp. This one we've made dashi, and then we seasoned it with usukuchi shoyu, which is a light taste soy sauce, along with mirin, and a little bit of fish sauce for umami, or extra, if you will. All right, so I'm gonna pour it in. Now to the rice, before we cook it, we're gonna add a couple things. We're gonna add some corn, because it's beautiful right now in Los Angeles, and corn is in season, along with some ginger. So cut the ginger first. So these gingers has been already peeled. Because looks so nice. And we're basically gonna julienne this. Okay, so cut the ends off. For that much, we probably just use this. Is probably sufficient. So basically, you want to thinly slice this. Of course, if you don't want to slice it with your knife, You could also use a mandolin if you feel safer. And then we'll just kind of like, so you just have like, you know, nice pieces, and then just put into the rice. Also, some of the ginger we'll take. And grate, and this will be reserved for later. You guys use any grater. We use something called oroshigane, which is a traditional grater used in Japanese cuisine, and we'll take it, and this is something that we'll be using after the rice is cooked. Of course, watch your fingers, because the teeth is pretty sharp. The restaurant I worked at in Tokyo, where this was actually every morning I had to do this for the entire service. Well, and then the daikon as well, or Japanese radish. Okay, well, this should be plenty. And we'll reserve this for later. And next, we're gonna be cutting some corn. So usually after you get the corn, you peel off the husk and, you know, the whiskers, if you will, and get it really nice and clean. What we're gonna do is split the corn into half. Always remember to keep your workstation clean. Most of the time when people clean corn, you would always cut this way. You could do that, or I'm gonna show you another way, which yields basically a prettier corn kernel, if you will. It's definitely prettier, it's more intact, it's not so, you know, mangled up, if you will. You don't have to do this, but I'm gonna show you. So basically, all we're doing is turning the corn, okay? Yeah. So basically, we're cutting up. So basically, it's pretty easy, you know, just basically cut up, cut up, cut up. You just have like a nice corn, clean corn. I'm gonna do another half of one. So now you have beautiful corn kernels, and we're gonna dump this all into the rice cooker. All right, so now we got the washed and soaked and rinsed rice, and the drained rice. We have the dashi #1 that's been seasoned beautifully, and then we also have some corn kernels and some julienne ginger. Now we're ready to cook it. I'm actually put it in, close the lid. Now, obviously, there's a lot of different selections here. When we do regular, usually I would definitely like to do umami with this certain rice cooker, because the umami, the Zojirushi is exclusive umami option, allows it for, you know, for longer. Basically, it accounts for the soak time that we were talking about earlier, with soaking 20 minutes. And since we already did that already, we're just gonna cook it on regular. All right, and we'll let it sing the classic sound. Nostalgic. It's like the sound you hear in your childhood, you know? All right, it's gonna be cooking for 55 minutes. All right, so as you know, it's been about 50 minutes, 45, 50 minutes, and now we're gonna get since this Donabe Gohan is gonna have some grilled salmon. Right here we have a beautiful piece of Ora King salmon that's been dry aged by the Joint Eatery. So first we're gonna take the salmon. It's a cross section with the main loin, also the belly intact. Now, you know, this piece has the pin bones already pulled out, but it has the skin on. So what we're gonna do is take the skin off. Take a knife, where the back loin is, and just put some decent amount of pressure on the skin or the board, and then just run your knife through it. It's pretty easy, And then if you flip it over, it just comes right, one piece. Now, if you look at it, the beautiful fat on it's amazing. Now, of course, ideally, this part is some of the best parts on the salmon, or the salmon total, if you will, or the belly. But for us, for this purpose, we're going to take it off, so that way we can cook this part more evenly. We'll reserve this for another dish. Okay. And now since we're going to grill it over some binchotan charcoals on a Japanese grill or komro. I'm going to put 3 skewers through. One. 2. 3. It's evenly distributed, so it isn't, so the weight is less, so that way it's more gentle on the flesh. And now I'm going to season it with kosher salt. Now, if you noticed, I skewered it with the flesh, basically the skin side up, where the skin would be. This reason for that is basically more gentle on the meat or on the flesh. It's the same thing. It's this way. It's less stress on the meat itself. Okay, so that way, if you look at it, naturally it wants to be like this, anyways, right? All right, now I'm going to take this. It's well salted. I'm going to grill it. So one of the couple pointers about grilling salmon, I personally like to grill salmon pretty hot. And I like this, of course, binchotan charcoals, able to get up to almost 1,000 degrees. So right now, this is burning between 800 to 1,000 degrees. It's pretty close to the coals. And now I have a fan to feed oxygen into the coals, so that way the coals burn hotter. And at the same time, it's able to control the flame ups, obviously, right? Because you don't want the flame ups to start tasting acrid. If you look at it, it's bubbling, it's hot. We take this right here, which is a combination of sake, and we're cooling it down. And also adding flavor and more umami to this. Obviously, it's flame up. And if you're grilling over a binchotan with skewers, if you notice, every few times you want to keep turning the skewers, so that way when you pull the skewers out, it doesn't tear the meat. It slides out very clean. And of course, if you don't have a grill at home, right, you can always sear it, or you can bake it. You can do a lot of things. You don't even have to use salmon. I love salmon for this application, but you can also do any type of protein that you like. It could be anything. It could be from beef to pork or just even sheer vegetables. Really, whatever you want. I mean, rice is, the beautiful thing about rice is it's a blank canvas for a lot of different flavors and textures, you know? But that looks great though. Now, to check temperature, what I like to use, a lot of the things like my peers will use, is actually a cake tester. So you take the salmon, lay it down. You basically want to stick the salmon into the inside all the way through the middle. Pull it out. So 2 things you're looking for. You're looking for how easy does it slide in. It should have 0 resistance. Okay. At the same time, when you take it out and put it underneath your lip, it should be just slightly warmer than room temperature. You're looking at roughly about 41, 43 centigrade, or roughly about 108, 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. And then what we're going to do is, as notice, throughout the whole process, you just want to make sure you turn it, so that way, like, if you turn it out, it's very clean, right? And it doesn't damage the flesh out on either end. Especially if you're cooking with the skin on, you want to make sure you turn it quite often, so that way the skin doesn't tear when it cooks. So same thing, right? Very clean, right? All right, now that we grilled the salmon, it's resting now. I put on a little bit of salt on top. Remember, always season your food. Now the rice is done, so here we want to open it. Wow, looks so good. Ooh, it's a little hot. You can obviously you can mix it in here, but we made a lot, so we'll mix it into another bowl. So next, we're gonna put the piece of salmon on. Earlier we had some ginger juice. Basically the grated ginger. We want to take it and just kind of squeeze it all over the rice, and then the salmon as well. In terms of amount, it's really up to you. Like, I love the flavor of the ginger, and the ginger, I think it really brightens it up. So for me, I like to put a decent amount. I'm gonna put a little bit of like pickled hijiki seaweed, some pickled mustard greens, and rakkyo. We make this here at about Hiroo, but you can always buy at your local Japanese market. There's like all kinds of pickles and stuff, pickles and things, and it's something that's, you know, I think the salmon's incredibly luscious and so much fat content, and also you just want things to kind of cut that, you know, some acid and some crunch and some freshness to really cut through the rice. Last but not least, we're gonna garnish with the asatsuki, which is pretty much Japanese scallions. Some clean Japanese scallions here. Basically, it pretty much looks like regular scallion, but just a lot thinner. Of course, you can find this in your local Japanese grocery store, Nijia or Marukai or any of those that will have. And then we're also cut some. Again, this, you cut as much as you want. For me, I like this, so we're going to cut a good bit. All right. And take it and so basically garnish it. All right, there we have it. We have grilled Ora King salmon donabe with some pickled hijiki seaweed, summer corn, ginger, and asatsuki or Japanese scallions. Now it looks like this, and basically we're gonna mix it together. So if you look at it, it's perfect salmon, right? That's what you want. You don't want your salmon overcooked. You want salmon to be nice and juicy, like cook through, just cook through. And that's what you want. And of course, it's throughout the whole thing. It's perfectly cooked. Okay. And so you're gonna kind of want, and then you want to cut the rice. Just kind of mix everything together. God, it smells so good. You don't want to completely squish the rice. You want to cut into the rice, right? So you just want to cut into the rice. That way you don't, again, all about integrity. You don't want to disrupt the integrity of the rice itself or the salmon or anything. And you have it. Donabe Gohan.